Hello everyone. I'm Sid and I'm from Sharp Circles. Thank you all for coming. How many of you here today are business owners, entrepreneurs, children parents? And how many of you are responsible for marketing activities in the company you work for? And anybody walk into the wrong room by any chance? Okay, cool. Well, anyone who's ever been involved in any kind of marketing will be aware of how difficult it can be to get the right kind of exposure, to get any kind of exposure for your business or its offerings. Thankfully, the internet's made things a lot easier over the years, but still it's very important for a business owner or for a marketer to be aware of what sort of strategies they can use. What sort of strategies, first of all, what's available, what's out there, what they can utilize, what's suitable for their business, what's suitable for their personality, because not everything works for everyone or every different type. And also, how to implement those strategies. Once you know what the strategies are, what you might be able to get what results from, you still need to implement them properly. Because not implementing the right strategy is just as bad as not doing it in the first place. It's also important, obviously, to know what kind of results you can expect from the strategies that you're employing, what kind of time frame you're looking at, how long it will take you to get the right kind of results, how much those results will cost you, and how much those results will be worth to you. All of these things are very, very important for every marketer to know. And all of these things you're aware of before you even start, the more advantages it's going to be for you. It's going to be really great if you're aware of all these things before you start, or at least have a good understanding of what you need to find out, even if you don't know it when you're starting off. So what we're going to do today is to talk about, well, we're going to do two presentations, and you'll get two for the price of one. We're going to talk about digital marketing first of all, the different types of strategies or different modes of digital marketing that are popular out there. And then we're going to focus on two particular types. We'll narrow down our focus to PPC and pay-per-click advertising and SEO, and then we'll go further in depth in regards to SEO. And that will be the first presentation, and then in the second presentation we'll talk about 10 different steps that any digital marketer can use, or any business owner can use, in their own time and get started down the road for getting good results for SEO. So that's what we're going to do in the two presentations. Feel free to shoot any questions you have at any stage of the presentation. And then we're going to take a short break and get to the first presentation, and then you can ask further questions during that time as well, and then start again the second presentation. So we're going to get started with, as I said, digital marketing. Now I'm going to talk about the different types of digital marketing that people employ, or the types that are commonly employed out there. Email marketing. Email marketing is when you build your database of prospects, customers, existing clients, past clients, people that are interested or might be interested in what you're offering, and you establish some sort of a regular flow of information going from you to them on a regular basis, so they're aware of what you're doing, when you're doing it, and if they have an interest in it, they would be able to get in touch with you. Because basically that's what email marketing is about. I'm sure everybody's aware of what people usually, how people utilize it, and how it's usually, how it delivers the right kind of, decent results for people. Because when you receive an email from someone, everybody's on some sort of a mailing list with a different company. Sometimes we're aware of being on that mailing list, sometimes we're not, and we end up having to unsubscribe. But yeah, email marketing is one form of digital marketing. Affiliate marketing is another one where small businesses start reselling bigger establishments offerings and get some sort of a catch for everything that they're selling on their behalf. Next is content marketing. Content marketing is something that's utilized usually in the case of companies that have promotional offers or particular offerings for which they need to create a great amount of content and put it out there, primarily through social media, but other means as well. And this is about writing blogs, articles, creating video content, all sorts of different multimedia content that you can put out there in order to attract the right kind of attention. Social media marketing. Now, anyone who's used any of these platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and many others, We're all aware of what social media marketing, what sort of, how people put their, how bigger companies or even smaller companies put their advertisements in front of people, and how they get shared occasionally, how they get liked, or sometimes people trickle across to get rid of those advertisements. But basically, social media marketing is about developing interest amongst the population out there in whatever you're offering through social media platforms. PPC advertising, pay-per-click is usually, most people are aware of Google and Facebook, but there are a lot of other platforms as well that we can talk about in a while. But basically, pay-per-click advertising is where whenever somebody, you can put an advertisement out there, and somebody clicks on it, you pay the advertiser, the platform on which you're advertising a certain amount of money. In some cases, it can be 5, 10, 20 cents. In some cases, it can be $50 for a single click. Certain industries like hotel cartridges or accounting services, every single click can cost quite a bit of money. So that can be very effective if you want to be sure of placing the advertisement in front of the right people who are actually searching for that particular service or product at that point in time. And search engine optimization, which is about getting visibility through organic search results. So this is about getting your website to rank as high as possible, just below the advertisements in Google or Bing or any search engines, these are the two most commonly used search engines, but there are others as well. Search engine optimization is about making sure that the website is optimized, it has the right kind of work done on it in order for it to get good exposure through organic listings. Now, pay-per-click advertising, as I said, I will talk a little bit more about pay-per-click advertising. These are the different platforms that you can put advertisements on, most commonly used platforms. Google, everybody is aware of the little 3 or 4 advertisements that you see on top of a search, top search results when you carry out a search. It used to be called AdWords, the name is Google Ads, but it pretty much works the same way. Yahoo is another platform that actively allows you to put your advertisements and pay them on a per-click basis as and when people click on those advertisements. Bing Ads, which basically Yahoo and Bing follow the same formula as what Google does. Basically, these platforms allow you to put your advertisement there on their platform as and when people click. They do help you in putting those advertisements in front of the people that they think are more relevant to whatever you're offering. Instagram is a very popular platform, social media platform. Those are the 3 social media platforms. LinkedIn, Facebook, there are others on which you can advertise in the same, following the same principle. It works slightly differently for Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. On those platforms, you go by, you do identify who you want to put the advertisement in front of. Because you're not usually searching for things on Facebook, you don't actually type in whatever service or product it might be that you're looking for. Usually you're looking at birthday pictures, holiday photos, holiday pictures, recipes, all kinds of things that are on Facebook. LinkedIn can be, you could be looking at the feed and something pops up that the search engine, that the social media platform believes you might be interested in, so you might be a relevant sort of target market for a particular offering or a particular product or service. Instagram works in the same way, but you do have to work out how to actually get in front of the right kind of audience. So the thing with social media platforms is about you being able to, you actually need to know what kind of people might be the right ones to put your advertisement in front of, whereas in this case you don't have to worry about that usually. Partly because these platforms are not aware of as much information about the users as those platforms are. Social media sites have a lot more information on you as a user. They know how, usually in most cases, they know how old you are, they know what your gender is, they know what your job is, how many kids you have, how many jobs you've had in the past, what qualifications you have, all kinds of things they know about you. Google, Yahoo, Bing, they know that to a much smaller extent. In the case of Google, yes, a lot of people use they're logged into their Gmail accounts when they do searches, and that's where Google can pick up some information from. But when you log out and then do another search for the same thing, you may get a different set of results simply because Google SEO, which is the main topic of our presentations today. Usually I'm going to talk about the difference between pay-per-click advertising and SEO. So if I was to say search for dentist Sydney, people don't always type in everything in a very well-structured way. They just type in, throw in a couple of words and expect to see results. So this is just an example of if somebody was to search for dentist Sydney, usually we would see 2 or 3 or a small number of advertisements at the top. Below that, you can see how we can.
I'm sorry.
So if I was to search for dentist Sydney, I would see a few advertisements at the top, depending on how many people are advertising and how much they're paid search engines. I'm using the example of Google here, which pretty much works the same way for search engines as well. So you can see a couple of advertisements followed by 10 organic results. So the advertisements obviously are through PPC, pay-per-click advertising, and if you just click on any of those at the top, you will get charged by the search engine to advertising fee. And the organic results, to be up there in the organic search listings, you need to perform optimization work on the website. You need to make sure you actually follow the guidelines and please not completely ignore the guidelines for search engines with options to make sure that they can deliver the best quality results on their platform. Part of the reason to do that is because they need to sell advertisements to people and charge the advertisers every much per click. And if they can deliver good quality results, then they can justify or then they can charge more for the advertisements that are being placed on their site because they have a larger number of people using their search engine. There was a time when Yahoo was actually Yahoo made the claim that they were getting, this was about 10 years ago, Yahoo made the claim that they were getting twice as many people using, twice as many searches being carried out on their platform. But Google revealed that because with Yahoo you had to search for twice as many results. Because with Google you get the right results usually by doing one search. So it was twice as many searches, but it usually taking 4 searches to get the right results every time. So that's how search engines make their money, by delivering good quality results which are achieved by website owners by doing SEO, and then search engines can allow their advertisers to place advertisements and pay them money on a per click basis. This is the table that shows a few different areas where there's a big difference between SEO and PPC. So you can actually, this is where when I was saying earlier, you need to know what type of strategy is good for you. This table will give you a bit of an idea, and it will take you somewhere towards understanding what strategy might be good for your business.
And slot can be
I can make some information available. I will not be able to share this information to make the format is it's actually on a web-based platform. I can give you this information, sir. I'll take your. So now this is basically to give you an indication of which areas SEO is the right strategy, which areas PPC is the right strategy. For example, overnight results, if you need to market something in the next couple of days, you need to get traffic to your website immediately. SEO is not going to do that for you. SEO is not going to get your traffic in a day, 2 days, months. You're very lucky. We've been doing SEO for more than 18 years, and it was only once or twice where we saw results coming through in a few days. The best I've ever seen was 7 days, but in most cases it's 3 to 4 months, usually on average. Sometimes it can be even longer, depending on the history, the number of the history of the website, the reputation of your website and a lot of other things. But basically, going back to that point, overnight results, SEO, you can't expect those. But PPC, yes, pretty much overnight. In some cases, within a couple of hours, the search engine improves your advertisements. You can place an advertisement and have it appearing within hours and start driving traffic to your website. Of course, those advertisements will cost you money for every single person that comes through. But yeah, PPC is fantastic with that. Costs. SEO, zero to me if you're sit at home and do it, or you sit in your office or home, wherever. If you're going to do it on your own, it can cost you zero money, obviously. But the cost can go up to a medium sort of level. Whereas with PPC, costs are usually medium to high because you can't get any traffic without paying the search engine. And if you want to get a lot of traffic, cost-wise, PPC is definitely going to cost you a lot more. Lasting returns, PPC, the moment you stop advertising, the visibility disappears completely. There's no further visibility for you. The search engine's not making any money, and they're not going to be basically advertising there on that platform anymore. Whereas SEO, you get long-term results even after you stop doing SEO. So if you were to do it for a year, 2 years, or 10 years, whatever the duration is, whenever you stop, you can expect the SEO results to linger for a certain period of time. They don't instantly disappear. You never have to do SEO. Unless you do something wrong in terms of over-optimization or breaking Google's guidelines or doing something breaking Google's guidelines. SEO, primarily because the cost of SEO is quite low. In terms of investment, it's really good. Because in SEO, if you're not going to make money, whatever you get coming back to you is if you look at what you get in terms of the actual putting then chances of basically if you look at what you're getting for the effort you're putting in for the cost you're applying to your strategy, the return is much higher for SEO. For PPC, varies, depends on how well you're aware of what needs to be done, because PPC is very tricky. You can, if you don't know how to put the advertisement out there in front of the right audience, it costs you a lot. I'm familiar with businesses that pay something like $3,000 and get lesser results than people who pay $300. Simply because they know what kind of, how to identify the right keywords, how to identify the right kind of audience, and get the right kind of results in their marketing efforts. Difficulty though, SEO is low to medium. Getting started is very much easier, but then it gets more difficult and more complicated it gets, and the more competition you have. It very much depends on how many other people are doing it, what kind of industry you're in, how many of the professionals are optimizing, how well they're optimizing, how long they've been optimizing for it, and all other factors. So the difficulty gets more and more high as you go along. Whereas in PPC, basically search engines need to make generate the revenue. They want to try and make it as easy for you as possible to get results from their platform, by advertising on their platforms. Traffic potential. SEO has unlimited potential because it's not costing you any further money, or you don't have to do anything other than to do SEO to get more and more traffic. Whereas when you look at PPC, obviously it's determined by how much money you spend. Whether you're spending $5 per day or $200 per day. But still, whatever your budget limit is, the search engine is going to rotate the advertisement or spread them out through the day, or whichever strategy you use is going to be limited by budget. Listing domination. With SEO, you can theoretically, like some businesses do, you can actually have 3 or 4 different websites, you can use more websites and optimize all of them, have different content, put a lot of effort into it, but you can occupy the first 10 places with 3 or 4 of your own websites. You can't do that with PPC because one advertisement, the best you can do is post one advertisement out there. And even if you were to try and do more, you will not be able to get more than 1 or 2 advertisements out there at one time. I think you can move the chat. because of the limit of how many, the limitation to how many places there are available, and also the search engine will not let you put two advertisements in the same search result. Competitor protection. You have full protection from the competitors. The competitors can't harm your SEO rankings. They can click on your results, but what they're going to be doing to you is not going to be harmful. I would say not extremely harmful in any way. Yes, people can click on it multiple times and Google might think that you're trying to send the wrong signals or something, but unless your competitors really, with a lot of time on their hands, they can't really harm your listings anyway. And whenever they stop you can request Google to review things and put you back where your site needs to be. Whereas with PPC, you have no protection. There are people out there, if you actively do PPC advertising, you would know that I would say 20 to 30% of your budget goes towards your competitors clicking on your results. It's bound to happen. Every industry has people who are going to do that to you. So and search engines don't help you much. If you complain to Google, based on my experience, if you complain to Google, they will give you a 5% reduction, or 5% reduction in your bill. And basically after that, they don't really cooperate. They have a standard email which they've been sending out to you for the last 7 years at least. Exactly the same lines sent to you until you don't get charged for the additional cost that you do. Algorithm protection. Google keeps changing its algorithm, so we have zero protection as far as the algorithm is concerned. Algorithm changes are concerned. Google made about 500 to 600 changes during the course of last year, and 500 to 600 changes the year before and the year before that. That's 1 to 2 changes every single day. And every time they make a change, you have to respond to it. You have to make sure you're not falling foul of any of those guidelines that they've adjusted. Because if your website is not compliant to their latest guidelines, you can suffer. Your website can go downwards. Yes, you can have better results, but that usually doesn't happen because the purpose of those algorithm changes is to sort of control over-optimization. With PPC, there's no such issue. Google doesn't, Google like the fact that they don't change their algorithm that would affect you in any kind of way. When it comes to placing advertisements with that platform. Demographic targeting. When it comes to SEO, you can't specifically say you will put your advertisement in front of a particular age group or a particular gender or a particular anything. Whereas with PPC, you can be a bit more. You have better. If you can understand your audience better, if you can actually, Google, for example, allows you to choose what type of audience you want to target. So they would try to put your advertisement in front of people who fall within that demographic. Location targeting. When it comes to SEO, yes, there's a certain amount of location targeting you can do, but Google limits that to region by region only, and by region, Google only refers to country. So you can't say specifically, I'm going to put my advertisement in front of people in a particular suburb. So if you want to put your advertisement in front of people only in Byron Bay, for example, you can't actually choose, well, that's the suburb I want to go for, that's the city I want to go for, it's a particular state. You can only, the best you can do is say, that's the country I want to put my advertisement in front of. That's the country from which users will come to my name. I want to place my, let me phrase it correctly. I will place my advertisement in front of people from a particular part of the world, particular country. That's the best we can do with Google. Then it does allow you to do a bit more location targeting, but they use about 5 to 6% of people in Australia at this point in time, based on the latest data. So Google doesn't really give you much flexibility. With PPC, you can actually choose specifically where you want to place your advertisement, and the search engine will do its best to put your advertisement in front of people in that particular location. The reason we've narrowed in on these areas, these are particular areas which appeal to people. If they appeal to people, then they will go for SEO. These are the areas where SEO is better than PPC, whereas the areas below PPC has an edge. So yeah, these are the first 5-6 points that at the table. If these things appeal to you, these things are important to you, then SEO would be the right way to go. how Google works.
I have a question, please. So, hypothetically, I had a new business, and I had a bit of marketing budget. Would I be actually looking to amalgamate those kind of strategies? So I would start off, say, with a pay-per-click, and also ensure that I've got the SEO at the back of my website to make sure that I get the best of both worlds, so I can increase the traffic initially and then allow the algorithm to work across time.
Yeah. Usually it's advisable for most businesses to not put all their marketing base in one basket because things can change, whether it's PPC or SEO or any other form of strategy that you're employing. Things can change dramatically, and if you concentrate on only one method of attracting traffic to your website, then things change, your business can change dramatically.
So, what would be the reason as to why you might just choose one over the other? What would be the drivers?
Going back to the previous table, I would say these would be the main things to look at. If you can analyze your business or your marketing needs and see which ones of these things are more relevant to you. Do you need traffic immediately? Do you need what kind of budget you're working with? Are you looking at short-term results? Because certain businesses are seasonal, some businesses need traffic immediately, and some businesses have a lot of money to spend on their advertising. So it very much depends on which factors are more applicable to your business model.
I probably should rephrase it, but do you find that there's disadvantage of one over the other generally speaking, or like would SEO be considered better or more popular, or what more people use or go to first as a go?
That's actually, it's difficult to say because it's on a, I would usually make a recommendation on a case-by-case basis. It very much depends on your business. SEO is something that, well, if you do employ SEO, it will not affect your PPC results in any way. So the best answer I can give to you would be to still do SEO and do whatever else, not just PPC, but other things as well, social media, depending on what type of business is it that you're doing.
I'm just looking at digital marketing like as a topic.
Okay. Yeah, well, digital marketing, I would say there are, if you were to ask sort of across the board, if you were to ask 100 different people, you would get 20% going in this direction, 20% in that direction. It very much depends. If you're very good at creating digital content, then social media is the best way for you to go. If you're very good at writing the right kind of copy for your advertisements, or if you have the right kind of budget, or you need good results, then PPC is the way to go. It's very difficult to say if one particular form of marketing can be applied across the board. Actually, it never applies. There's no one particular type of digital marketing that can be applied across the board. Because different things would be more applicable to different businesses. But I would say SEO is, in the majority of cases, none of the digital marketing strategies that you used would have a negative impact on other forms of strategies, or the other strategies that you're looking for. So I would say if you have the time and the expertise and the budget, try and do as many of them as possible, and the resources.
At the bare minimum, you should actually just be doing SEO regardless because of the fact that it provides benefits while you put the other forms on top.
SEO takes a while as well, and it can sometimes, if you don't have enough time to work with, you can get frustrated. It's quite frustrating at times to go through, to wait for the results because you're relying on the search engine to respond to the changes you're making on your site. And sometimes those responses are not quick enough or not good enough, and then you've got to go back to the drawing board to the whole thing again. Continue. And the SEO is more of an iterative strategy. You've got to keep improving what you're doing, keep improving the website, and keep improving how much effort you're putting into it, and things keep changing as well.
Are there any tools that tell you about what is current in terms of, say, for instance, algorithmically, or what kind of trends allow you, say, for instance, there's hashtag ones all over the internet to say what's the biggest hashtags at the moment that you can put into your Instagram account?
When it comes to SEO, there are opinions. You don't have, simply because the search engines, Google would never tell you exactly what works. Mainly because the moment people figure it out, they would put too much of that in their websites and basically try and manipulate their algorithm to get the best results from it. So Google would always keep changing. That's part of the reason to change the algorithm. So that's why the SEO will always take a long time. There's no fixed set of things that you need to do with SEO. But yes, there are a few standard things which are in line with what Google appreciates. Those are the things that I'll cover later as well. But yeah, SEO is a long-term strategy. Sometimes it can take more than just a few months to get the right results. But the way Google works, just to give you an idea, Google basically, first of all, what Google does is it crawls and reads websites. By crawling and reading, I'm talking about picking up as much information from the back-end code of the website as well as the physical part of the website to make sure it understands your website correctly, and then it organizes the information it reads and it indexes it. Simply because the internet, regardless of how fast things are even now, Google's not able to deliver real-time results for you. You just simply can't do that. What Google does do is it delivers results to you based on its own index, which is organized the data, organized and index the data, and it would analyze that information in line with whatever you're searching for. So when you search for something, Google would try and see how your search might match what's in its index. And then, based on that, it would rank the different sites that it has in its index and then deliver results based on how relevant Google's algorithm thinks your website is to that particular term that people are searching for. So that's how the search engine works, and the idea basically is that you need to look at the different factors that Google uses to decide whether or not your website is relevant to a particular set of keywords, a particular searches can be carried out on this platform. So more than 200 different factors. It's impossible to know. This goes back to the point that you were making about what needs to be done, fixed set of guidelines they need to follow. It's virtually impossible to have an exact set of guidelines that can be applied to every industry or every type of business. But these are some of the more useful ones that people can easily keep track of as well. So you can go to individual websites, different tools that are available on the internet, you can go to those tools, go to those websites, and use those tools to get the right information with regards to where your website's at that point in time. Because all of these can keep changing as well. Domain authority, which is about how Google sees the value of your domain name. So if your domain name has been around for a much longer period, a lot of other websites are linking to it, a lot of other factors play a part there as well. But basically domain authority, high domain authority and page authority will likely to have better performance for your website.
Excuse me, I have a question. When you talk about domain, I've seen a trend in the web these days that there are a lot of different domains that are not .com or .eu.com or there are different domains such as info or whatever it is. What is how much weight is this in these different domains? I've seen store as well, for instance.
Yeah, according to Google, the official line from Google, the official statement is that Google does not have a preference for any particular domain extension. But generally speaking, when you search, say if you're searching Australia, for example, you're going to get .com.au. Google will have a preference for .com.au domain names because, as far as Google is concerned, that those websites would have more relevant results for the searcher. Because if you're searching for something, you don't want to be receiving results from another part of the world. So if you're getting results from somewhere else, they may not be as relevant to you. So if somebody's searching for a particular phrase in New Zealand, they're going to get a .nz website. That's just how the search engine will do things. But when it comes to .com, .net, .biz, .info, the US domain name, because all of these are to the US domain name, the certain domain names that you get there, those can be you can actually, in the Google Search Console, you can actually point them in the direction of whichever location you will be targeting. So you can, this goes back to the point about location targeting. You can actually say that you want your .com domain name to be appearing in front of visitors or searchers in Australia or anywhere else where you're targeting. But you can't choose multiple countries. So you can only choose one country. So there's no particular, according to Google, there's no particular preference that it gives to any particular domain name.
Okay, good. Because I'm just seeing here there is all different extensions, XYZ, store, space, website, .live, .dating, whatever. You know.
People buy domain names from, depending on the nature of their business, because they would feel, like for example, .tv. That's a bit unusual because it's not that TV is for children, so it's the country's domain name. So if you were to get that, but generally what's happening is people would, all these domain names are being released because there aren't enough names available. So they're giving up new extensions simply to make it easier for people to have, for people to avoid creating those very long, nonsensical URLs.
Is it a perception that people go for .com.au? Is it that, you know, you've got a more trust in it if you, instead of seeing like .live, .biz or anything else?
If you have a big prominent brand, then it's easier for you to get away with any extension. You can have .cc or any of the others, .co, for example, which is Colombia, but you do get websites with the .co extension as well. So if you have a bigger brand, you can get away with it because people will already say if you were to go to Coca-Cola's website, for example, they could get away with including Coca-Cola.biz here, and people would not be doubting that website. But if you, for a small business, the best option is to go for .com.au. That would be the best option. Or if you can't get that, go for .com. Those are the better options. And moving on from that, content, the better the quality of content of your website is, the more beneficial it will be for you. Search engines place a lot more importance to, assign a lot more importance to the content you put on your website. In the old days, it was you could put anything in your website, you didn't have to do good quality, but now it makes a big difference. The number of backlinks, or the nature of backlinks that point to your website, not necessarily the number, the quality of backlinks. Other sites linking to yours, that's a big factor as well. User engagement, search engines trying to figure out how people are engaging with your website. So if somebody searches for your site, if searches for a phrase, they come through to your site and go back again and search again within a few seconds. The search engine can see their IP address and they can figure out that the same person did the same search again after they clicked on your site, which basically, as far as they're concerned, see that as a negative signal, which basically means your site didn't provide good quality information to the visitor. And that's why they went back to the search engine again. That's basically something that works against your site if that happens too much. Internal linking, how you're enabling the traffic coming to your website to go from one page to another, that's very important. Brand signals, these have become much more important in the last few months, mainly because of all the issues surrounding fake news, primarily because search engines are now relying a lot more on the kind of looking at what brands people are searching for as well, in addition to just the search. So if you have a particular name, people are searching for your company's name as well as the things that you're providing, you're likely to send out the right kind of brand signals. But you do have to be careful. You don't want to be sitting at home doing your own searching for your own brand name all the time, thinking that's going to make a difference. But yeah, it does make a difference if a wide range of people are searching for your brand. And Google can figure out from there that maybe what you're providing or your company, what your offerings are of a particular value or will not value, and search engines will trust your website better. On-page signals. On-page signals is when search engines look at the code, look at the front end, and look at things that are in your website to understand if your website is doing anything, if it's providing clear and authentic information. And it also tries to detect web spam when you're trying to do stuff like put white text with white background or black text with black background, or making very white pages, so you put a lot of text on the side, so nobody gets to see it. But the hoping that search engine would reduce it and they penalize you for it. Off-page segments, they look at what kind of links you build. If you build like 2,000 links in a week, which used to work in the old days, it doesn't work anymore. Those kind of things they look at. So these are some of the things that search engines pay attention to, but that's the full set, and this keeps changing on a daily basis. Virtually. That's basically the same signals presented in the form of a periodic table to give you an idea of the kind of things search engines look at. Now, this is a periodic table that you can actually find online on Search Engine Land, and they have a version for 2011, 2012, 13, and so on, all the way to 2018. They may have one for 2019 as well, but basically this is just to give you an idea of the things that you need to look at when the things that you need to pay attention to when you're working on your website to get the best results.
One question,
Yeah.
authority means that it's been a domain or a page that has been on top for a lot of time, or what?
Not quite.
No.
It's not about how long it's been up there for. It's more about the quality of the information that's in there, the way other sites link to it, and those are just two factors. There are other factors for how long it's been around for. So if your domain name has been around for 20 years, you will have an advantage over somebody whose domain name has been around for two months. That's why it takes a while to make sure the website and the domain name, business, the way other sites are linking to it, all of those things are pointing in the right direction.
Okay.
So all of those things are very important. And
But I-
page authority is different from domain authority. Yeah.
You mentioned in terms of, I guess, the brand signals. Is it advantageous for somebody to use a popular name within their business in order for things to come up on pages, or is there more competition, or are we looking to name it perhaps very rare, so like with a rare name, or something very unique, so that it can turn up on the pages?
Well, if the name belongs to you, if it's your business, the name of your business, then keep it. You can have a name that doesn't actually mean anything, like Google or Yahoo or.
Yeah. Do those tend to turn up, obviously because there's no competition, do those kind of things tend to come up?
Usually,
Front.
usually your website will rank very high for your business name. So that will usually happen in those cases all the time.
Oh,
It takes a few months for you to start appearing for your business name. In fact, that's the first phrase or first word for which you start ranking. So it doesn't really matter that plays such a part. In fact, you have to be unique, so your brand is it's not clashing with another popular brand. So if that's the case, then you need to be as well as.
So the more keywords that are in your business name, the more competition potentially.
Search engines don't pay attention to that. In fact, they see that as web spam. Okay, just going to give you an idea based on those factors that we just looked at, how to do SEO. Three basic areas. First one is to link your site with Google. This includes having a sitemap, creating a robots file, and we'll go into a bit more depth in regards to this in the second presentation. The health of your website, so your website can't be one that's live now and 2 hours later it has too much traffic, it goes down, or it runs very slow. There are sites that take like 30 seconds to load, it will not get much love from Google, basically all those things. Penalties. You have to make sure Google penalties, you avoid penalties because sometimes they take months. Google will write a website for 6 months, 12 months. Sometimes there are time-based penalties, sometimes there are position-based penalties. Sometimes there are automated penalties which Google doesn't really tell you about. Some of the manual penalties they tell you about. But you need to look just like Google and make sure you pay attention to these factors. These are some on-page factors. You need to make sure you're putting the right kind of information at the back of your website. All pages, all text pages, and so on. And off-page SEO. One page is about what's in your website. Link to Google is about how Google reads your website and how well it links with it. On-page SEO is about the content and the backend of the website. Off-page is about how other sites are linked. Going back to your point about the domain authority. A lot of the off-page SEO work makes a difference in this area. That was the first presentation, and we'll take a little break. If you guys want to take a short break, we'll get started in a second.